Bonjour, madame, monsieur. Welcome. Bienvenue. This is Chef Keidi here in my laboratory. Today we're going to have a wonderful, delightful, tasty, and easy to prepare living superfood. This one is, of course, in the book Living Superfood Recipes. We're going to make one of my favorite dishes. I love Mediterranean style cuisine. This one, I believe, is originally a Persian dish. This is called falafel. And falafel is, of course, made with garbanzo beans, or chickpeas as they're called in many places. And in this case, we are not going to cook our falafel. We're not going to deep fry it. No, this is going to be living food, superfood. We've actually sprouted the garbanzos, and we're going to use these sprouted garbanzos in this wonderful, tasty mix. Doesn't have a lot of ingredients. Let's see how quickly we can put this one together. First of all, let's go into our food processor. Two main instruments we're going to use for this one are the food processor, and then later we're going to prepare them, dehydrate them in the dehydrator, and that's going to give that texture that we love just so much. We don't have a lot of ingredients. First, we're going to begin with the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of sprouted garbanzo beans, but in this case I'm making a little bit extra. So I got a little bit extra garbanzo beans that I'm going to put in there. It calls for an equal amount also of soaked almonds, and of course raw almonds, where we're using here, as well as soaked sunflower seeds. Now I mix those together and soak those together, so I'm actually adding the rest of this here to round out the recipe just like it calls for. Next, it calls for 1/4 of an onion, so we're going to go a little bit heavier since we have a little larger size. But in this particular dish, we want the onion to have a little bit more acidity, especially to kind of counterbalance the slight bitterness that will come from the raw sprouted chickpeas garbanzos. Following the yellow onion in there, we put about 1/3 of a cup in there, and we have about an equal amount, 1/3 of a cup of extra light virgin olive oil we're going to add to that mix. And already this is starting to smell really fantastic. Next, we're going to go in, we got some freshly squeezed lemon juice here. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of freshly juiced lemon juice. I'm going to add just a little bit more since we did increase our size. 1/3 of a cup or less of namashoyu. Namashoyu is, of course, an organic soy sauce, and we love using it. It is, of course, non-GMO. Organic means the soybeans have not been used with, they're not GMO, so they haven't been used with Roundup and other pesticides. The recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup. I usually start with the soy sauce a little light, and then once I do my tasting, if it needs a little bit more, I will add that a little bit later. Since soy sauce does have a significant amount of sodium in it, those of you who are on sodium-restricted diets, you know to always, when you're trying a new recipe that you haven't tried before, always cut back on the sodium, or in this case the sodium-containing ingredients, until you figured out balancing the taste with your sodium requirements. Very, very important point. And then next, and I've got just about 4 cloves, since we're going a little heavy here, of freshly minced garlic. So, and there's no need to mince it too fine. Just took a few cloves of garlic and chopped them up, rough cut, chopped them. Add that to our mix. We got everything in here we need except for the magical ingredient. The final ingredient we're going to put in here is one of our absolute favorites. This is, of course, an Indian spice. This one is curry. Curry has also got the turmeric in it, which is a good source of curcumin, and that gives it that bright, orangey, real bright color. And it also, curcumin is one of the most fantastic nutritional culinary herbs that we know about. And we love to add turmeric in living superfood. I try to add turmeric to everything, especially everything that calls for a savory, and everything that calls for dehydration, any types of products where we're attempting to duplicate meat, we can use the curcumin in there, the turmeric in there. Turmeric itself has a fairly neutral taste, whereas the curry, undeniably, the curry has a wonderful, rich, deep-bodied taste. And so we've got all our ingredients in our food processor. I'm going to put all this together without me talking. This probably, other than putting the things into the particular containers, probably didn't take any more than just a minute or two to put together. So I've got this all in my food processor. Going to start off on a slow speed here. Let it run for just a few seconds. and speed it up for a few seconds. It's starting to blend in real good. What we will need to do several times during the process is to mix down the walls of our food processor. And already the smell of these has already come together. The beautiful thing about this dish is one of the things about it. It is so savory. It smells savory also. Let's pause that one more time. And we have wiped it down 2 or 3 times there. And we have got this wonderful, beautiful, savory blend all in here. The texture on here is just absolutely wonderful. And let's just give it a little, run it by the chef's taste buds to make sure that we have everything in proper balance. So I'm just going to give just a little bit of a taste test on this. It actually makes a wonderful pate. You can actually eat it just as it is, even if you don't have a dehydrator. It's complex. And everything is in a wonderful balance. What I am going to do, add just a little bit more lemon juice. The balance of the curry against the slight bitterness that we would expect from the garbanzo beans is just absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to stretch it just a little bit with a little bit more lemon juice. Just a little quick turnover on this one. We've got this blended just the way we want it. What we're going to do here is now take it out of the food processor, and I'm going to transfer it to a stainless steel bowl that I have right here. And from here, we are then going to deploy this on our Teflex sheet. So here we go, just a little quick scrape down on that. And let's pour this wonderful mix again. This could be used just as is, as a pate. It very much resembles recipes for nut loaves that we've got. It can be dehydrated. If you don't have a dehydrator, some people, and I'm not necessarily advocating, but some people just use their oven set at the absolute lowest temperature your oven can be set up. Hopefully that will be less than 125 degrees. Also, if you're going to be dehydrating it using the oven, you do have to leave the oven door open so that the hydration that's being dehydrated, the water that's coming out of your product, will have a chance to evaporate. Otherwise, if it's in there, it'll just be steamy and not necessarily producing the outcome. Got all that put together. It looks absolutely wonderful, blended up real here. Its smell is absolutely fantastic, and even greater once we turn on the dehydrator. Within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and for the next 4 hours or so, or 6 hours, your house is going to be smelling fantastic. So here's what we do. We have a little ice cream scooper over here, and what I'm going to do is just going to lay this out on a grid on my Teflex sheet, and it's going to produce probably about 36 to 40. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a grid of 5 by 5 here and lay these out. Just hitting the corners, and I hit the middle, and then one between the middle is going to give me my grid that I need so far. Okay, we are proceeding very well, and our mixture looks like it's going to make just about almost exactly what fits onto our Teflex sheet, maybe with 1 or so extra. So we got about 25. I'll save that a little bit over there. That might just make a little pate, okay? Well, now that we have these on here, we're just going to just flatten these just a little bit so they're not just perfectly round. This, of course, helps them to dehydrate in the middle a little bit quicker, and just a little quick flattening on the top of these. This one here is a real crowd pleaser. You can make this with a creamy cucumber sauce, and in this case, in the creamy cucumber sauce, we would use something like soaked cashews or even zucchini. You need somewhat a protein base, a neutral tasting protein base Mix it with some cucumbers and add some spices. Again, the creamy sauce served with this particular dish is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's a Middle Eastern dish, so maybe some couscous tabbouleh might go great on that. Of course, a fresh garden salad always goes great. So we've got these all trayed up. They smell fantastic. They look fantastic. We're going to go on over here to the dehydrator. I, of course, use the Excalibur. It is my absolute favorite. I'm going to set the temperature on the Excalibur to 120 degrees. This is going to run. Total time for dehydration and preparation ready to serve is probably going to be about 6, maybe as late as 8 hours. It depends much on what the humidity is in your particular area. I'm here in Las Vegas, so the dehydration times are, of course, a little bit quicker around here. But what you'll do is in about 2 hours or so, I'm going to take the tray and spin it around so that to make sure that they're all dehydrating at the same rate. And then somewhere between about 3 hours or so, I'll flip them over onto a Teflex screen. Or if you're in a real dry area and you want them to retain a little moisture, you flip them onto another Teflex sheet. Again, we're talking about Teflex sheet and screen. Originally, okay, because they are, of course, moist, they go into the sheet like this, and then once they're dried on one side, you can flip them onto a screen. This will actually speed up the dehydrating time. Or in the case you are dehydrating something and you want it to retain a little bit more moisture, such as some wraps or something like that, just flip it onto another sheet and it will retain that moisture. And this is Chef Keidi. I'll take a photograph and let you see what the final product looks like. It is really fantastic. Share this one with your friends and family. They're really going to love it. Go to livingsuperfood.com where we say food is nature's most perfect medicine. So let your food be your medicine. And medicine has never tasted like this before. Peace, y'all. Enjoy your Living Superfood Day. That's really, really good. Just like